Second. Where? All right, cool. Right, Shalom.
Shalom.
We'll start off by giving all praises, honor, and glory unto
Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Kodash.
Double honors unto the elders and apostles of great master that rule well, who taught us his truth. And Shalom unto the 144,000 elect men of the nation of Israel and the rest of the elect that are destined to be saved. I'm the brother Kalab, and I'm joined by the brother Ibn Allah, and we're both from the GMS UK London Forecasters Camp, coming back with another lesson to help edify those of which we spoke of. Now, I want to reiterate, because I've got a feeling that in these last days, you're going to have a lot of people who are new to this thing, new to hearing this truth, who don't know what this is about. So basically, you know, this is for all you Israelites, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, Hispanics, Native Americans, West Indians, West Africans predominantly. But you will find Israelites that do look like the other nations, because we as a people have been scattered among all the nations throughout our various captivities. But if your seed line by your forefathers goes back to the man in the Bible that was named Israel, then you too are an Israelite, no matter what you may look like. Because the book of Numbers, chapter 1 and the 18th verse, tells you that your nationality is determined by the lineage of your forefathers. And also, at the same time, while we're here to edify and uplift our people, we're here to condemn you Edomites and you other nations, but predominantly you Edomites, who are, for the most part, you so-called white people on the face of the earth. You go back to your forefather Esau, who was the descendant of Abraham, Isaac, and Esau. The descendants of Esau are the Edomites. The descendants of Israel are the Israelites, which is the descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So what you have right now on the earth is the conflict between the elect of the nation of Israel and the elect of the nation of Edom. The elect of the nation of Edom are all these people that you see in high positions in this society, your politicians, your MPs, your your elite rich banking families. They are all Edomites. Now, don't get it twisted. You might find some Israelites who are scattered among them who may look like Edomites. But as I said, if your seed line goes back to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, you're an Israelite no matter what you look like. So this isn't a color thing. This is about seed lines and bloodlines, right? So in the last lesson we did together, we was going into satanic ritual abuse, and we did a part 1. Now we're going to do a part 2, because this video that we've got on the screen is a testimony of a girl who in the late 1980s came out and told her testimony of how she had been abused from the age of 2 in her family, which was in this cult. Now, at the time, a lot of people discredited it. Forgive me. They discredited it as, being part of the satanic panic, and people were making these stories up. But with the release of the Epstein files, we found, well, we believe this thing to be true anyway, because people just told us it was true. But with the release of the Epstein files, it is exposed this on a much larger level. So we're going to resume from where we left off. Go ahead and play the video. But let's go back to the other side.
Just real quick. Excuse me. This is my mouse.
Say the word.
That's beautiful, man. Yes, you're welcome. This is the book of excuse me, Jeremiah 49:10. It says, "But I have made Esau bare, I have uncovered his secret places, and he shall not be able to hide himself. His seed is spoiled, and his brethren, and his neighbors, and he is not." So before Esau gets destroyed, and as it says in 2 Ezra 6, for Esau is the end of the world. Excuse me, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth. He's going to be exposed, which is what's happening now. And as you mentioned, I believe at camp yesterday, the spirit that's within these Edomites is not upright in them, man. And through the account of this poor young lady, you get to see the evidence of that. So yeah, man, let's get into it.
Yeah.
And depravity so horrific, it's hard to believe. You have to ask yourself, could Teresa be just making it up?
No. I know what's true and what's not. No, I know what I saw.
Children don't make up elaborate lies that this would have to be if it was a lie, which I know it is not. It isn't.
This couldn't be a terrible dream, a nightmare that you're reliving.
No. It's no dream. It's no. It's no dream. It's a nightmare, but it's not one you can wake up from. It's there all the time.
So like, just bear the
right.
PC, man.
The PC's having a bit of a problem, but I can speak on this because there's something that in Esau's science psychology is called eye-accessing cues, right? Which means that if you look at the direction which person looks when they're speaking, you can tell which part of the brain they're accessing. Now, in the last that last second there was an image where she was looking to her right, and I believe, if I remember correctly, that means record image. So when someone's accessing the part of their brain where they're thinking about something that they've seen, like if you see their eyes go to that position, it means they're accessing that part of the brain to recording the image. If I'm not mistaken, I might be getting it wrong, but record image and constructed image is on the other side, because there's two different ways that images appear in your brain. You can either bring an image up from your memory, or you can construct an image. Let's give an example. If I told someone to think about something they'd never seen before, like let's say, think about an elephant with a monkey on its back and the monkey's on fire and it's juggling some balls. You've never seen that image before, so therefore your brain has to construct it. So while your brain is constructing it, your eyes will move to a particular position. Vice versa, if you ask someone a question and they're recalling something that they've already seen, their eyes will move to a particular position when they're talking. And this is sometimes how you can read people, and you can spot when they're lying to you or when they're not. So when she did that, it meant that she's actually recording something that she has seen and experienced. Now, if I can sit here as an untrained psychologist and know that information, why can't trained psychologists do that? If trained psychologists can do that, and so-called police officers can do that, why aren't they doing that to discern whether this woman's testimony is true or not? Well, guess what? Could you, Baba Kushar, get me the scripture where it says, "Thou art wiser than Daniel"? Because Esau is indeed a very wise. He's done a lot of studies. He's done his CIA programs on MK Ultra and stuff like that. They know how to spot. Don't they even have the that test they do when people put the lie detector test? How did Esau come up with all this shit? So he knows when people are telling the truth and when they're lying, but he doesn't do anything about it. Have you got that precept, Baba Kushar?
Khan. Ezekiel 28, I'll start at the top, points at 3. It says, the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, came again unto me, saying, Son of man, say unto the prince of Tyrus, thus saith the Lord Yahweh, because thine heart is lifted up, and thou hast said, I am God, I sit in the seat of God, in the midst of the seas, yet thou art a man, and not God. Though thou set thy heart as the heart of God, behold, thou art wiser than Daniel. There is no secret that they can hide from thee.
Well, there you go. That's good context to that precept. Esau's done a diligent search, right? So Esau knows when people are telling the truth and when they're lying. But you know what the sad reality of it is? A lot of these doctors, psychologists, police officers, guys who work at MI5, MI6, CIA, FBI, whatever, what have you. They're all in on this. They're all in on this thing.
Mm.
That's why they came up with the term, "Oh, it's a conspiracy," and you're just a conspiracy theorist, right? Well, there's a scripture which cuts that as well. I believe it says they have conspired together with one consent.
Mm-hmm.
Get that one, Baba Kusha.
I think that's Psalms
So,
83.
yeah.
Yeah.
So the Bible itself tells you that there is a conspiracy. And what does the word conspire mean? To breathe together. I believe I'm not mistaken, to conspire.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so they've all come together with one consent to create their new world order. And this is part of their new world order, where these elites feel that they can do whatever the hell they want to anybody, and they're above the law. And they really are above the law, because you can't expect to get justice from Esau's system, because Esau's system was never made to bring about justice for the Goyim, because that's what they consider us to be. In their eyes, we're subhuman. And I'm not just talking about Jake here. I'm talking about all you people, you Edomites, you Moabites, you Ammonites, all you people in this society who aren't initiated into the upper echelons of society. They see you as less than dirt on the street.
God.
So when they see you as less than dirt on the street, that means that when they kill you, or they, God forbid, they rape you, or they torture you, or whatever it is they choose to do to you, they don't even see you as a human. They don't even acknowledge that you exist. Let's say you got a piece of paper, right? And you had some scissors, and you just cut the paper however you want it. Like, let's say you cut it into paper triangles or whatever, and you didn't give a damn about that piece of paper. You're not going to go to bed at night thinking, oh shit, man, I cut that piece of paper up with some scissors. I feel so guilty. I feel so cut. You don't feel that, because it's just a piece of paper. It's an inanimate object. Like the paper, it's disposable. It doesn't matter. Well, that's how these elites feel about you and your children. That's why they'll send you into war to be cannon fodder and end up in the meat grinder, because guess what? The more people they kill, the more their God is pleased with them.
Yeah.
And their God is Satan. And Satan requires sacrifices. And those sacrifices require blood. Whereas our God, the Most High Yahweh, he does require sacrifices. Right? But the sacrifices that the Most High required were never of the blood of humans or our children. A great example of that is in the story of Abraham. When Abraham was told to sacrifice Isaac, what happened at the last moment? The Most High stopped Abraham from doing it. He only made Abraham go through that process to demonstrate his faith.
Right.
Now, the Most High made the ultimate sacrifice, because now we don't have the temple sacrifices where we have to offer up turtle doves, pigeons, or sheep or oxen to atone for our sins. We had the perfect sacrifice, which is Yahweh Shai. His blood is above, everybody else's. That's why it was the perfect sacrifice, right? So we don't need to do that stuff anymore. But Esau, he's not covered by the blood of the lamb. So he's out there shedding blood willy-nilly because he doesn't hate blood. Baba Kashar, Sith thou has not hated blood, even
Therefore,
blood shall pursue thee.
And if I may say, Baba
Yeah, go ahead.
Kashar, going back to these nations, Esau, the way he feels about these other nations, they're like as Goyim to the Edomites. Really, that's a projection on how they feel about themselves, because the scriptures talks about how they're the basest of all men, and they're viler than the whole earth, right? And the scriptures also say how he that is envious of himself, to whom shall he be good to? So Esau already, he feels low. They feel low about themselves as a people, and they show that in various different ways. For example, the tanning industry is a very lucrative industry. That fake tan BS that they get. Ultimately, who is it that they're trying to look like? And you said how he don't even treat these other nations as humans, but Esau ain't really human, man. Because to be human, you need to have hue. You need to have melanin, which he doesn't have. He lacks that pigmentation. All right. So really that it's a projection. All right. Esau knows that he's the basest of men, but what he does is that he's created a society to where it favors the Edomites, man, with your IQ scores and this, that, or you know, certain people's brains work differently, you know, and they don't necessarily benefit from the traditional education system. But you know, Esau in his world, he told you got ADHD or some other shit, man.
Or you're aggressive.
Yep.
You know, you're threatening, you're intimidating. Just because you, as Jake, you speak with a masculine voice. Whenever you're around them Edomites, you see them, they're all stiff and tense and shit. They feel uncomfortable around Jake and they feel threatened by Jake. That's why a lot of Jake get held back at school.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's different ways to learn as well. Sometimes learning can be theoretical, such as when you're doing mathematics, but sometimes you learn from actually doing things. Like, for example, if you're given a task that you're actually interacting with the task physically, sometimes you learn a lot quicker through that. And that's how we as Jake sometimes, like, the education is kind of tailor-made for the white man and women. You know, just sit there and like, all stiff and shit. You know, we're kind of animated. We're animated people.
Yeah.
You know, that's why a lot of times Jake will just excel at sports naturally, because it comes very natural, because we're animated. We want to move around. But when you're stuck in, like, what is it? You've got periods in it in school.
Yeah.
You go in there, let's say you start at 9 or whatever, and you have like 4 or 5 periods throughout the day of different lessons. And every lesson is just come in, sit there, listen to the register, only put your hand up when you ask a question, and you're just being told. Basically, you're being programmed what to think and how to answer. Then all of a sudden you have P. I remember, man, when we used to do P, Jake would come to life, man. You know, Jake would be, you know, getting into the games and shit. But when it came to the other subjects, a lot of us didn't give a shit, man. But then if you so-called speak up or question the authority of a teacher, they say, oh, you're being disruptive, and, you know, again, you're threatening, you're aggressive, you're intimidating. And when parents' evening come round, teachers got a whole bag of shit that they want to say about you, you know, in a negative light, rather than, you know, anything else. Like, it's like, I don't want to harp on this subject too much, but it's like, I remember just when I was at school, in primary school, I'd look at a teacher on the first day of the term, may have seen her once or twice walking around, but never had any interaction, and you just know, okay, this is going to be a hell of a year, because this teacher's racist, and no matter what I do, I'm always going to be the villain in the class. And that's how it played out, you know, in primary school. But anyway, let's get back to this video.
Come on. You want to start and then have a quick walk?
First of all, Psalms 83 have conspired together for one consent. Because it is a conspiracy. The Bible talks about it being a conspiracy. So if the Bible says it, guess what? It must be true. Because the Most High is not a man that he should lie.
Psalms 83, I'll start at 3. They have taken crafty counsel against thy people and consulted against thy hidden ones. They have said, come and let us cut them off from being a nation, that the name of Israel may be no more in remembrance. For they have consulted together with one consent. They are confederate against thee. The tabernacles of Edom and the Ishmaelites of Moab and the Hagarenes, Gebal and Ammon and Amalek, the Philistines with the inhabitants of Tyre. Ashur also is joined with them. They have holpen the children of Lot, Selah. Do unto them as unto the Midianites, as to Sisera, as to Jabin, at the brook of Kison, which perished at Endor. They became as dung for the earth. Make their nobles like Oreb.
That's not the one I want.
What did you want? Oh yeah, I read it. I'll read it again.
Just read verse 3, Brother Bashar. That's not actually the scripture I want. Let me get it for you.
Oh.
Give us a second. Bear with me a second.
In the meantime, I'll get this one here. This is Job 9:24. It says, "The earth is given into the hand of the wicked. He covereth the faces of the judges thereof. If not, where and who is he?" Yeah, so you know, that's why Esau is able to commit these acts of wickedness, as you know, this lady is getting into in this video. And he actually covers the faces of the judges, man. And who are the judges? The Israelites, you know, beginning with the elect. You know, Psalms 82:6 tells us, "For I have said, ye are gods." And when you go into that word God, it's Alahayim, which translates to gods, to judges, rulers. So we're those judges, man. And because he's covered the faces of the judges, and we're not in a position where we can judge matters righteously, they've been able to get away with this wickedness for a long time.
Yeah, I think I found what I want.
Yep.
Let me just check the context of it. This is just Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 10. Let's read this. This is Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 10, verse 5. "Moreover, the nations in their wicked conspiracy, being confounded, she found out the righteous and preserved him blameless unto the Most High, and kept him strong against his tender compassion towards his son." Right, so yeah, these nations, there's a conspiracy among themselves, and there's been a conspiracy for the longest time. However, in the world, Esau uses that term in a derogatory way, because what these think tanks do, because they get together and they have these think tanks, they find ways to slander people, discredit people, make people turn public opinion against people. Like this whole thing about cancel culture right now, that's a common thing. Like if you say the wrong thing, oh, he's a racist, or he's sexist, or he's homophobic, or you know, he's whatever it may be, all the negative slanders, Esau will throw shit on your name. That's how he destroys your reputation, to where nobody wants to associate with you or listen to what you got to say. But in reality, the reality is that Esau, he's the one who's been doing all of this wicked shit behind the scenes. But yet he'll throw stones to hide his hands. Yeah. And he'll say, oh, well, these people are the problem, or those people are the problem. But that's what Esau does. He's just like, he sows discord amongst brethren, creates all kind of chaos in the world, because in doing that, he gets to hide himself. Because if you're busy fighting with your brother over here, how can you be focused on what your enemy's doing over there? So Esau's very strategic in how he does stuff. But I'm talking too much. I want this video to play, so let's get back into that, unless you've got a preset.
Yeah, I got one, if I may, real quick. This is Psalms 50 and verse 20. It says, "Thou sittest and speakest against thy brother, thou slanderest thine own mother's son. These things hast thou done, and I kept silence. Thou thoughtest that I was altogether such as one as thyself, but I will reprove thee and set them in order before thine eyes." Because, you know, pretty much what Esau does is, you know, he sets the booby trap for Jake. Jake falls for it, and then he goes to the Most High like, see, look what they're doing. Yeah. You know, that's why in the book of, Revelation 12, it talks about how the accuser of thy brethren have been cast down. You know, because really Esau is doing all of that. But hey, man, look, man, the wickedness that they be on behind the scenes, you know, none of the wickedness that Jake does can compare to that, man. You
exactly know? But they'll tell you the problem is Jake in your community,
right? You know, Jake might have his eye evil toward his brother, but you ain't gonna hop in Jake's yard and go in his basement and find a bunch of dead bodies, whether that be, you know, children or animals or just humans in general. You know, a whole Frankenstein facility in his basement, man. Yeah. You might find some kilos. You know what I mean?
But even then, don't think the Edomites aren't getting high on it too. But the whole ones who control that traffic.
Where's Jake getting it from? Yeah. You know, how's he getting in the country?
Jake may be pushing it. He ain't the one with the pharmaceutical companies making these, a lot of these drugs.
Or putting C19, you know, shots in you and you know, you experiencing all kind of health issues, you know, I ain't gonna get into it, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, you know, they're the real wicked ones, man. And because they've pretty much got away with it for a while, they think that, oh, they're in the good graces, man. But it says, but I'll reprove thee and set them in order before thine eyes, man. And before the Heavenly Father sets them in order, he's exposing them, man, which is what we doing now.
Huh.
You would have thought after all that talking, man, it would have, you know,
Buffered a bit, yeah.
This really happened. You're quite sure of that?
Yeah.
The police don't think Teresa made up a story. Some of the cult members are to stand trial. 5 men have been charged with rape. As for Nan, the grandmother, she's 61 and lives in this council flat in South London.
Now, that's
She's
why you gotta be circumspect when you're moving through this world, because she's looking like she's just some regular old ass white woman who's just like wouldn't harm a fly. But little do you know what these people are getting up to behind closed doors.
Mm-hmm.
Keep going.
Charged on 7 counts of aiding and abetting rape and 2 counts of performing abortions on Teresa. If you're finding this hard to believe, so did I at first. But then there are the medical reports, evidence of sustained sexual abuse. And there's this, a statement prepared for 60 Minutes by Teresa's psychiatrist. It says, in my opinion, Teresa's account is not the product of a psychotic illness, nor the figment of a fertile imagination. I believe her to be telling the truth.
I know what's true and what's not.
We also took Teresa's story to this man, therapist Ray Wire. He reads a transcript of our interview and listens to her voice.
It's no dream.
Few people, if any, in Britain have counselled as many victims of satanic abuse or Satanists themselves as Ray Wire has. If there is an expert on satanic cults, it would have to be him.
Do you believe Teresa's story?
I believe Teresa's
Like you're having some technical difficulties there. The video's buffering.
story. It's exactly the same story as I've heard from men who says they've done it.
You've dealt with other cases like hers?
Yes.
21 cases like hers, he says, in the past 2 years alone.
Themes like they were put in boxes with spiders and worms, where they were trapped in fear, where there was a high use of excrement and urine, where there was talk of human sacrifice.
Take just one of those rituals, putting children in boxes with spiders and worms. Now, listen to what Teresa told her mother.
And they had a coffin-like box that children were put in with spiders and snakes and the lid shut and left in there. I would have come out deranged. I could not have coped with that mentally at all.
You have evidence to back up stories like Teresa's, that this
Yes.
is really happening?
Well, we have that age of child, 6, 5, and 4, giving information that ties up with Teresa. How do those children know? How do those children able to describe rituals, to talk about ceremonies, to talk about sacrificing animals? How do those children know?
Nightmares, imagining it?
You can't imagine those things at 3 and 4 years old. And you also don't have the evidence of anal sex abuse and oral sex abuse and all that other abuse that clearly those children have experienced and endured.
We'll talk.
During these ceremonies, was Satan, the devil, ever referred to?
He was called Lucifer.
What did they say about the devil?
You can see that
About
she's
Lucifer?
calling it.
That killing the people made him happy.
Sacrifices to please the devil.
Used to talk about
According to Teresa, the worst rituals took place at a house somewhere in the country.
it was big, you know, expensive. From the front,
So
it looked like a castle.
there you go. It was big. It was expensive. From the front, it looked like a castle. What
Mm.
Jake's living like that?
Right.
You know, it's those Ross guys who have those what is it, Waddesdon Manor?
Yep.
These places in the countryside, and also the crazy thing about those places in the countryside is that they're just like secluded,
Yeah.
right? So like, how the hell do you escape from a place like that?
Mm-hmm.
There's actually a film which shows what these Edomites do. It's a good film. It's called Ready or Not, where basically, you're not going to spoil the plot for you, but this woman marries into high society, like a really, really rich family, right? And on the wedding night, they close all the doors and they say, we have to play a game. And she says, what game? And they say, it depends. You have to take a card from the box. So there's a box with this stack of cards. She has to pick one at random. She happens to pick one, and the game that she has to play is hide and seek. Now, as a child, we're taught at school, oh, you play hide and seek, you know, run around, hide there, someone finds you, boom, that's it. Well, there's a lot more to that game, hide and seek, when the Edomites play it. What happens is they'll say, like, you know, they'll count to 100, you have to find. You have to run and hide, but then they put on their masks, like the kind of mask you see them wear in the Purge, or in Eyes Wide Shut, these weird ass freaky masks, and they get their crossbow. Everybody gets a random weapon. Like someone might have a knife, someone might have a crossbow, someone might have a sword, someone might have a gun, and they basically, if they find you, they're gonna kill you. Now, when they play these games in these mansions, right, you got to remember that these mansions are in these estates. So if you do manage to make it out of the house, right, and you're running through the forest, what do those Edomites love to do then? Get the hounds. Yeah, get the hounds, and they start the sniffer dogs, and they love that. That's why you'd always see them doing fox hunting and shit. They'd show you that they did fox hunting, but then the people were like, "No, you can't be murking off the foxes like that." Then they claimed to stop. Right? That's why you see foxes running around London these days. Like before they stopped fox hunting, you never see a fox. It's very rare that you never see a fox on the London streets. But now, since they banned it, you actually see the foxes actually populating the city. But yeah, they'll chase you through the forest and they'll hunt you down like a dog, right? So these Edomites get up to this shit. So she's saying she was taken to a mansion, looked like a castle from the outside. Now, come on, man. If the police were doing their job, how many places in the UK fit that description? So, you know, you can see that the police are in on it. That's why they've got the symbol of the checkerboard on their hats and on their sleeve. That shows who they work for. They're Masons at the end of the day. And they're made to protect the elite. They're not there to bring justice upon them, because the elites, they live like gods on this earth. You got something?
Yep. This is the book of Isaiah 29. And I'll start at 15. It says, "Woe unto them that seek deep to hide their counsel from the Lord, and their works are in the dark. And they say, Who seeth us, and who knoweth us? Surely your turning of things upside down shall be esteemed as the potter's clay. For shall the work say of him that made it, He made me not? Or shall the thing framed say of him that framed it, He had no understanding?" So, you know, whoa. So destruction is coming onto Esau, Edom, for them that you know, hide their counsel from the Lord and you know, do their works in the dark. And they think the Heavenly Father's not seeing all this bullshit that's going on. Who's the one that's turned things upside down? The Heavenly Father, man, because He's the potter. All right. Esau has been loose that little season. And everything that we see happening is what happens when the wicked are in rulership, man. You know, Esau, Edom was set up as that perfect example of what not to be. And with that comes all manner of debaucherous acts, which is what we're finding out when we hear of these accounts from these victims, man. You know, but you see, what will bug the Christian out is that as wicked and as vile as all of this is the Heavenly Father's left-hand side.
Yeah.
You know, they seem to think that Satan's working against the Heavenly Father. Satan's on the Heavenly Father's timing, man.
You said
You got that?
this is Psalms 12 and verse 8. The wicked walk on every side when the vilest men are exalted. So we've got the vilest men on the face of the earth in positions of power. That's why the earth is under such a demonic and wicked vibration. Please keep playing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it had a long drive and big double wooden doors.
Do you think they were
So it wasn't
rich
Nan's
people
house.
then?
Mm-mm.
It wasn't Nan's house that she was being abused at. She had it looked like a castle, long drive,
Yeah.
big wooden doors. There you go, man. Keep going.
Middle of nowhere.
Very rich.
Now, where was this big house somewhere in the country? Teresa says she can't take the police there because the Satanists made sure she'd never know how to find it.
Teresa was always drugged, or on a couple of occasions she said she was knocked out, so that she never fully knew the route.
There was a tramp who was brought in once, you know, and he was killed. He was cut from his throat down to his stomach, and they ate him, or bits of him.
They killed a man at a ceremony.
Yeah.
They ate him. That's cannibalism, and this is what is coming out in these Epstein files, man. And as you said, how could she be making this up? Children don't think of these types of things.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you're a small child, you get a little bit scared because you think there's something under your bed. When your parents ask you to describe it, you can't really describe it. Children don't really have the vocabulary. Like, children don't even think about sexual encounters. So how can children be saying, this person raped me or that person raped me, and then to be able to describe it in detail? Not describe it, describe it in detail. You know, so these things actually were going on. But what the media has done is, you know, thrown it under the mat, stripped under the mat, tried to hide it in dark corners. But Esau's done played himself because he's become so brazen in his wickedness that he's been out in himself. In a sense that, you know, they put these things, symbolism in movies or music videos or video games or books or whatever. Esau can't help but boast about what he's doing. Well, guess what? Guess what? He's boasted a bit too much, and now all his shame is being put on Front Street. Go ahead.
Psalm 64 and verse 8. So shall they make their own tongue to fall upon themselves. All that see them shall flee away. And all men shall fear and shall declare the work of the Most High. For they shall wisely consider of his doing. The righteous shall be glad in the Lord and shall trust in him. And all the upright in heart shall glory. So yeah, Esau's tongue be fallen upon himself, because I can't remember who said it, but it's someone famous. They said symbolism will be their downfall.
Yes.
You know, and you know, that's ultimately what you see, because they've pretty much hidden the truth in plain sight. Like, you know, you was describing something from a video game, what Resident Evil.
Yeah.
You find a lot of the time there's a lot of hidden messages or hidden symbols in video games, in cartoons, in movies, you know, things of that nature. And as the saying goes, art imitates life. And then on top of that, you've got the whistleblowers as well, speaking out against what's really going on. Pretty much this young lady here, she'd be a whistleblower, you know, because, you know, not by choice, but she was a part of it, and, you know, she's speaking out against it, You know, so this is the time that we're in, man. All right. It said, let me back that up with this precept as well, real quick. If I may. This is 2 Thessalonians 2 and 7 says, "For the mystery of iniquity doth already work. Only he who now letteth will let until he be taken out of the way." And who's the one that's letting him? The Heavenly Father, man. You know, until you know, as the scriptures say, he has set bounds that he could not pass. So once Esau reaches that bound, you know, it's lights out for him, right? It says, "And then shall that wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth." And that's talking about his prophets, man. You know, Luke 1:70, Hosea 12:10, 2 Ezra 15, the first couple of verses, to name a few. You know, where we would be the spirit of his mouth. And this is how he's being revealed. And then it says, "And shall destroy with the brightness of his coming." That's talking about Yahweh and the holy angels, man. Revelation 1:7. You know, so everything is happening in its prophetic order, man. So Esau is being exposed first. Shortly after his exposure comes the judgment, man. There you go.
If I may just say something on that as well, because she said they brought a tramp in, right? And they cut him from his throat down to his stomach, and they started eating him, right? You got to think about how Esau creates these circumstances. For example, he creates situations where housing is very difficult to get and very unaffordable. So what does that do? It creates poverty. When you got a lot of poverty, right, and a lot of people who can barely make it, what did you say yesterday? People are always robbing Peter to pay Paul. People become very selfish. So when you got someone who falls through the cracks of society, for example, let's say they can't afford to pay their rent. Let's say they don't have any family members who can support them and they find themselves on the street, right? Then they're in a situation where they're homeless. So what does Esau do? He fucks up the homeless shelters. Oh, we haven't got any rooms tonight. Well, if you do need a room, you have to pay a certain amount. And people can't pay it. Well, guess what? They're forced to sleep on the street. What does that make them? It makes them vulnerable. So what you find is that you might have a guy that's homeless drifting around. They find this homeless person, drive him to a mansion such as that, and they can kill this guy or this woman, and nobody's going to come looking for them because they've got nobody like checking on them. Or sometimes they might like say, "Oh, well, we're going to send you to a mental hospital, section you, right? You're sectioned in there and you ain't got no family coming to visit you or check on you. All of a sudden, he died of an overdose.
Yeah.
He died because he committed suicide." When the reality is probably not that. Reality is these places act as pipelines to where vulnerable people who don't have any relatives or anybody looking out for them, they can be taken into situations like this and used in ritual sacrifices. That's the darkness of this system, and this is what's being exposed. So carry on.
In front of you?
Yeah, in front of all of us.
Did the tramp, did this man fight back?
No, I think he was, drunk or something. He seemed really dopey. He was laughing a lot when he was brought in. And he started screaming when they began to cut. But after a while, he died.
Salaki, I just made a quick observation as well. That goes to show you, the scriptures say how these Edomites are viler than the earth, man. Because out of all things they chose to eat, was a tramp. And they didn't, like these Edomites don't even clean their chicken, man, before they cook it. So they didn't clean up that tramp or anything. You can only imagine that tramp probably ain't showered or whatever in a couple of days, maybe a week, maybe longer than that. He's all, I don't know, drunkard, or they've drugged him up and they just straight up cut him up and just ate him like that, man. That's real demons, man.
Well, even Esau, like you got to keep it real, man. You talk about Esau not washing their meat, right? But a lot of Edomites, you go on the YouTube, I've done videos at countless times, Some of them will just go in the shop, buy their meat, come and take it out of the packet and eat it raw, and say that it's better than cooking it.
Mm.
Look, just because Esau wears a suit and a tie doesn't stop him from being the brute beast he always was. Maybe they do have a shower once a week or something, right? Maybe they do comb their hair every so often, but you can't let that fool you, because that's their mask. Their true nature is a wild man, a cannibal carnivore, murderous, someone who loves blood, man. And imagine seeing that. What's that gonna do to you? Like, that's the way this girl here, she looks completely traumatized. She ain't making this shit up.
Go on.
I'd seen a few killings before then, although I wasn't used to it. That was the worst one. I really don't know what I thought. I suppose I thought, thank God it's not me.
Let me get this right now. Are you saying that you saw more than one person killed in that house?
Yeah. I've seen loads of babies killed there, just newborn babies, or aborted ones which were only small. 4-year-olds. Any age, really.
Did they ever say they might kill you?
They threatened to kill my little girl, who, when I left, was still at the house.
A friend?
Huh?
What little girl?
My little girl, Alex. She's about 4 now.
You mean you had a child?
Yeah.
How old were you when you had that child?
11.
Motherhood at the age of 11.
Never talked
But
about it.
from what Teresa told her mother, it wasn't the only pregnancy.
We think that
Because what these Edomites these elite Edomites have been doing is they've been breeding children for these specific purposes. So when they're molesting and raping these young girls, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, when they're getting pregnant, they're if they do manage to keep the pregnancy, they'll keep that baby and then use that baby either in a sacrificial ritual, or they'll use that child as another child to then abuse. And then they can threaten the mother of the child by saying, if you do this, we'll kill your baby. If you do that, we'll do that. So it's basically, Esau's whole system is based around, if you do this, I'll do that. If you do that, I'll do this, that. For example, you can look at the Diddy parties, right? You hear all these celebrities went to the Diddy parties, got themselves caught up in compromising positions. Well, guess what? Now they're owned. Because it's like, well, if you do this, I'll do that. See, this is how these nasty ass gutter rats, small hats operate, through blackmail, extortion, and all this kind of shit. And this is why, what did the scriptures say? The scriptures say, he that seeketh to save his life shall lose it, but he that loseth his life for my sake and the gospel's shall find it. So this is why in this world, like, if you're concerned with your reputation, your social status, your bank balance, or your standing, all of those things are snares which Esau can use to manipulate you. Whereas when you come into this truth, there ain't nothing Esau can do to compromise you, because you're no longer of the world. You're in the house of the Lord, so to speak, metaphorically and spiritually speaking. So this is how we're able to be not controlled by Esau's systems of governance. You got it.
This is Isaiah 33:1. Woe to thee that spoilest, and thou was not spoiled, and dealest treacherously, and they dealt not treacherously with thee. When thou shalt cease to spoil, thou shalt be spoiled. And when thou shalt make an end to deal treacherously, they shall deal treacherously with thee. O Lord, be gracious unto us. We have waited for thee. Be thou their arm every morning, our salvation also in the time of trouble. So Esau has got a whole leap of destruction coming upon him, man, because he's dealt treacherously with those that ain't dealt treacherously with him. He's even dealt treacherously with his own people, man. You know? So when you see the subheading of this chapter, it says the judgment of the Most High. So pretty much, what did it say in the book of Jeremiah? His sins have reached onto the heavens, man.
Want to get it for you?
I can put it up in here. I think it's in 50. Because pretty much he's what's that term called, man? He's reached a point of no return.
The apex of iniquity.
Yep, he can't he can't come back from it, man. Is it this one? No, I think it's the next chapter. Jeremiah 51. Yeah. All right, this is Jeremiah 51. And let's start at 7. It says, Babylon have been a golden cup in the Lord's hand that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine. Therefore, the nations are mad. Yeah, the wine representing his philosophies, man. His democracy, his false ways, his Epstein rings and things of that nature. All right. It says, Babylon is suddenly fallen and destroyed. Howl for her, take balm for her pain. If so be, she may be healed. We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. Forsake her, and let us go everyone into his own country. The point for her judgment reacheth unto heaven, and is lifted up even to the skies. So Esau, he's reached, as you said, the apex of iniquity, man. And there's no turning back. And everything that this, unfortunate, this young lady is talking about, these things have been happening, man.
This was made in the 1980s.
And and the scriptures say that there's no new thing under the sun. All right. A lot of these things are ancient practices, man, that are still being done today. So, Esau, that tab, man, you got a lot to pay for, man.
7 or 8 times. It's hard to say. It was constantly happening from the time she was capable of being pregnant.
What happened to the pregnancies, to the babies?
They were aborted by my nan or by one of the doctors at the house.
There were doctors there at that house?
Right? When someone looks straight down, it means they're accessing their feelings. So when someone says something and it touches their emotions, they'll tend to look down. You can see that clearly. Like sometimes, like when you're with a girl or something, you say something that makes a little bit blush. And you say she blushes. What do they usually do? They look down. The cheeks get a little bit red. They look down because they're accessing something that, like, for example, let me give you an example. Let's say there's a girl who likes a guy and she's got a friend and she turns around and says to her, "Oh, you're in love with Steve or you're in love with Jim." And she blushes. What she do? She looks down. Why? Because she's got emotional feelings towards this topic or this person. So when this child, I call her a child, but when this young girl is talking about her pregnancies, which she had when she was a child, which were either taken away or aborted, you see she looks down a lot because she's got emotional feelings attached to that topic. And so this is what I'm saying. She's looking at the part of her brain which is accessing the recalled images. Mm-hmm. She's accessing the part of the brain which is tied to emotional feelings. Carry on.
Yes.
Yeah, there was 2, I think. Yeah, and a nurse.
What would happen to the fetuses, the unborn babies?
I used to be taken away most of the time, and one time baby was taken out of me and then killed in front of me because it was still alive.
And then what would happen?
Well, after they killed it, they would eat it. we were also made to eat it.
You were made to eat your own fetus.
Yeah.
Who made you do this?
My nan.
You think
Quick preset.
Go ahead. See, forgive me. There's
You're
levels. There's levels of wickedness that Esau does naturally. To him, it's just as regular as drinking water. But this is the difference between the wicked and the righteous. To us, this is kind of levels of wickedness and depravity that most Jake's minds don't go to.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Now, Esau will talk on the news about Jake and the knife crime and all this kind of shit, right? But which Jake's out there killing babies and eating their babies and forcing children to eat their fetuses? Now, I want to bring something back to people's remembrance. Remember that clip of Mike Tyson when he was talking shit about Lennox Lewis? About how he's the greatest, he's going to beat him, he's going to do this and do that. And at the end, he says, I want to eat his babies. See, at the time, people thought that's weird, that's crazy, that's just mad talk. Well, guess what these celebrities have been doing behind closed doors?
Khan.
Go on, you got it.
This is Sirach 14:5. He that is evil to himself, to whom will he be good? He shall not take pleasure in his goods. Right, so Esau is evil to his damn self, man. So you can't expect him to be good to anyone, right? It says there's none worse than he that envieth himself, and this is a recompense of his wickedness. And if he doeth good, he doeth it unwillingly, and at the last he will declare his wickedness. So you're dealing with a man that is his default setting is to be wicked. You know, it says somewhere in the scriptures how they can't sleep unless they've
done some wickedness.
Yeah. And you know, so this is just wickedness in one of its various different forms, man. All right. And you know, again, Esau's gonna have to pay the price for that, man.
Now, saying all that, ever since I've been researching this stuff, it just makes me think of what they were doing in slavery. See, a lot of the stuff they were doing to Jake on the plantation, we don't even know about. But through the spirit, do you think Esau's just been doing this for like the past 5 years?
Oh, yeah,
10 years, 15 years?
only a couple 3 years, you know. Last 3 years, he started doing this.
Exactly. Now, I'll give a brief testimony, right? My family's from Jamaica, and when I was like 10 years old, I went out there to spend some time. My mum took me and my brother to spend a little time there. We was out in Jamaica for a bit, and there's a place in Jamaica which was I can't remember where it was. It's somewhere near Montego Bay, but I can't remember exactly. If I look it up, I'll find it. But there's a place out there. It's called Rose Hall, and basically it was a plantation, and the woman who ran it, they had a name for her. They called her the White Witch of Rose Hall. Now you can actually look it up on YouTube. There's people who've done videos about it, and it's kind of like a tourist location, but it's based on the plantation. And she was called the White Witch of Rose Hall. And what she used to do is she used to do a lot of voodoo and witchcraft in that house, and she used to take the Jake slaves and do all kind of rituals, sacrifices. Sometimes the Jakes would be forced to have sex with her and stuff like that. And when you're on the plantation, what can you do? Because what it is she murdered her husbands as well. I think she had maybe like 4 or 5 husbands, and every so often they'd get murked off and she'd get their money. So she was very wealthy, and she had that plantation. And now I'm saying all that to say this because when I went there as a child, you could feel like there's certain places where there's just a very demonic energy. Even though that woman's been dead for over 100 years or whatever, like that place was just so spooky. And I remember I physically was like, and I don't get scared for much, but I was shook because you could just feel the dark energy was still there. See, this is the thing, like the thing about spirits, man, is like they haven't got an expiry date.
Yeah.
Let's just put it that way. So if there's a place which has a very demonic energy about it, it's not like, oh, let's just wait 5-10 years and it'll be okay. No, man, that place is just dark. Now, I suppose you could pray over the place, do an exorcism, but yeah, that place was just haunted, man. So I'm saying all of that to say that Esau's been doing this for the longest time. The satanic witchcraft, the murdering, the merciless murdering of children, devouring human flesh. This is all part of Esau's, what did they say, modus operandi. Like you said, the default setting for an Edomite, man. See, this is the thing. I put that video in the chat yesterday with that Ugandan dude saying they have to wear a mask because really they're animals, they're beasts. So when they're coming around you now and they have to act civilized, oh, it's just cats. When they come around and they have to act civilized, it's very difficult for them. They have to put on that, like, that nice, friendly, that smile. When you
turn over a new leaf.
Yeah, going back to like, you can attest to this. When you're on the job, you got your Edomite manager, comes in with that big smile and shit. Guess what? Don't get it twisted, right? These low-level Edomites you see on the job or in the street or whatever, what have you, right? If they had the opportunity to rule the society, they'd be doing exactly what these rich banking families are doing because it's in their spirit. So don't think that, just because you knew your boy in the job, his name's Tony or whatever. Yeah, how you doing? You see the football last night? Yeah, good game, innit? Yeah. Don't get it twisted. He's an Edomite, right? And if he had the opportunity to do his heart's desire, he'd be doing this exact same shit. That's why they're going to have to be taken out.
Yeah. It tells you here in the scriptures that Psalms 58:3, the wicked are estranged from the womb. They go astray as they be born, speaking lies. So, really what you see in the workplace or, out there, that's a facade, man. These people are really vile individuals, man. Yeah. I remember I had an Elamite friend a couple of years back, and he had an older brother. And, he also had his set of Elamite friends, but then he also had a set of Edomite friends. And, sometimes he'd go around one of the Edomites' houses and he would say, what he'd describe as, that he would say that, look, man, basically what he was saying is, for lack of better words, these white people have a real mean streak about them. And they engage in some odd stuff. He didn't specify what, but he alluded to the fact that every now and again they get into some odd stuff, man. And when it comes to these Edomite, odd stuff, that could be anything, literally anything, man. These people are estranged from the womb. And even when I look at certain people in the workplace, man, I look at certain dudes in there, I'm like, yeah, man, you definitely into some shit outside of work, man. When you undo that tie and unbutton that shirt, you doing some wild shit, man. You see on the countenance.
Go ahead.
The one person in the world you could leave a little girl with would be grandma, someone to give her love and protect her from harm. Yet, when Teresa was left to live with her grandmother, they might as well have handed her to the devil himself.
Grandmothers, I mean, the vision it conjures up for you, sweet old lady with grey hair, rosy cheeks, holding her arms out to love her grandchildren. And it was exactly the reverse.
But why was Teresa living with Nan in the first place and not with her mother?
Well, when my first marriage broke up, I took the children with me and couldn't cope. So I gave them to their father, who in turn moved to his mother's.
To Nan's place?
Yeah. And when he left the Nan's place, he left the children there.
How do you feel now towards her grandma and the other people who did all those things to your daughter?
They disgust me. They are the worst form of life this earth has had the misfortune to create. Vile.
Did you ever try to run away? You must have been frightened.
A couple of times I did, but my uncle, he caught me and brought me back.
Going to the police. Did that occur to you?
No. I thought it was normal, you know, even though I didn't like it. You know, I mean, you don't like to eat greens, but you know, somehow, you know, I thought it was just her being called to be kind or something like that.
She said to me it was something that...
That's why a lot of times they target children, because children tend to take on the environment that they're brought into because they don't know any different. Like children haven't really, you know, seen the world or different experiences. So whatever you introduce them to early on, that's going to form their perception of what comes later.
Mm-hmm.
So when they do things like these ritual child abuse, they mold their children to follow after that path. That's why it runs in these families, because their children have been doing it from early on. Like that film I showed you, didn't show you, that film I told you about, Ready or Not. In that film, they showed children having guns and hunting people. And like, oh yeah, good shot, son. You got him. You know, so they're brought up from an early age, and like she even said that herself. She was made to partake in the eating of human flesh. You know, so that these people, they can grow up and it's normal to them.
Precept.
You got it.
Proverbs 22:6. Train up a child in the way he should go,
There you go.
and when he is old, he will not depart from it. See, because Esau, he knows these scriptures, man. As we brought out earlier, thou art wiser than Daniel. You know, the thing is with Esau is he inverts the understanding of these scriptures. But he knows that, you know, because she mentioned that she did those things, but not necessarily because she liked it, but because she was used to it. So, you know, I remember her nan got her involved in that stuff from young. And as you said, so she didn't know any better. So whether she liked it or not, that was the only way of life she was exposed to.
Yeah.
She's in this big ass castle mansion, seemingly in the middle of nowhere. She's not exposed to the outside world. This is all she's exposed to. So naturally, she will assimilate into the culture, whether she likes it or not.
Yep.
And Esau knows that. That's why, as you said, he gets them young, man, because they're a lot more malleable.
Yeah.
That everybody did. She thought, you know, like you don't like going to school or the dentist. You don't like going to the black masses.
It was never any different. I didn't have nothing to compare it to.
All part of life, Teresa thought. Even a miscarriage one day at school.
Yeah, I asked the teacher if I could go to the toilet, and she allowed me out. I went into the toilet, and
there was a tell there. I'll give you guys some game here. There was a tell when she said she asked the teacher. She looked up for a second. When someone looks up, I think that's a recorded sound. So that proves that she's telling the truth, because this is when I asked the teacher, she looks up for a second. She's remembering what the teacher said to her, because she's accessing the part of the brain where that memory is stored. So, like, look, man, I'm just an amateur. I'm not a fucking trained psychologist. How can I look at this girl and be able to say, yeah, I know she's telling the truth? But you've got trained doctors, trained psychologists, trained police investigators, trained FBI detectives, trained people in their fields who can't see that this girl is telling a truthful testimony. And the reason why is because a lot of them are complicit in it. They're involved in it, you know, but they don't want you to know that. So they'll say, nah, she's making it up. She's crazy. She's delusional. It was all a dream and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, those are the people who enforce the layers of, you know, what you could call the matrix. You know, this whole fake system where people are walking around up and down, yeah, nice day in it, yeah, great day. When little do you know that maybe 3 doors down, there's someone who's trafficking children.
Can't.
Now I'm gonna say something about that, right? Because on the road I live on, there's a house a few doors down, and every Halloween they put some weird shit out. Like most people will just say like put a pumpkin and maybe a candle in it, right? You know, these normal everyday people think Halloween's just a children's holiday, but every year they put like they'll get baby dolls, like you know the baby dolls that the girls play with the eyes that roll. They'll get baby dolls, and they'll like get a load of them and tie them up outside the house. Or one year they had these Barbie dolls, and they done a similar thing where they just had Barbie dolls hanging up outside the house naked. And another time last year, they had a dummy, and it was strung up by its neck hanging outside their house. Like they go all in on Halloween, and I've always thought it's weird. Sometimes I'll take a photo of it, right? Because I think this is creepy. But like the more you realize it, hang on a minute, man. What are they really trying to what are they really projecting here? What are they really trying to say? You know, so don't get it twisted, man. Like your friend Bob from down the road, who acts like a fine, upstanding citizen. Don't be surprised when you find out Bob's got some dark secrets and he's been involved in certain shit, man. And all this shit is being brought to the surface now. You got it.
The baby was in my knickers. I thought it was dead, but it wasn't. It was still moving.
And yet no one at school knew?
No.
Saw anything?
No. Or if they did, they didn't say. No, she was treated for a high temperature, a fever. Nothing more.
What did she do with the baby?
She kept her for a while because she was frightened that they'd use the child as part of the rituals. So she turned a pencil case into a little coffin. Apparently she put roses in to make it smell sweet. Put a letter with her. Pictures of herself and her brother. A picture of me.
And then I put it down the chute because I didn't want my nan to get it.
As we said earlier, the police have already charged some members of the cult, and we know they're also investigating Teresa's accounts of those ritual killings. If there were as many, she told us, then the Satanists had a problem. How did they get rid of the bodies?
They had a tub, pretty big, I don't know. A fairly big tub, and they used to put the bodies and bones in there. And it used to go like, fizzy and that. And then there was nothing left. Or there didn't seem to be, but when they cleared it out, there used to be a sludge at the bottom.
Teresa's story, her account, doesn't really surprise.
Right. So, if you look into the case of Jeffrey Dahmer, he was doing a similar thing, where he had that tub in his house. So when he would kill the people, he was dissolving the bones in that tub, and they were saying it stank, and he'd make an excuse, saying, "Oh, he was he had a fish tank and he was trying to clean it out and it smelled. That's why it smelled." But no, he was doing the same shit, man. So again, this is what Esau's up to, man, behind closed doors. But yet Jake's the problem, innit?
Mm-hmm.
Jake's the problem. Fuck you, Edomites, man.
Can't.
Surprise you?
It doesn't surprise me in the light of satanic abuse. No.
Do you get frustrated with people who just won't accept that these things do happen?
Yes, because I've worked with murderers in prisons for years. Not that long ago, a boy was found in a forest in southern England without a head. We have no doubts that men can do that. And yet when we start talking about men within Satanism who actually believe in evil and it's the right to express evil, we suddenly have a doubt.
Do you dismiss that as a child's fantasy, or do you take it seriously?
Well, as a policeman and As a father, I obviously take it very seriously indeed.
Crime Intelligence Officer Sergeant Alan Barwick.
Do you believe Teresa?
Yes, I do.
What would happen to the fetuses, the unborn babies?
I used to be taken away most of the time, and one time baby was taken out of me and then killed in front of me because it was still alive.
And then?
They would eat it.
Esau's vile, man.
Yep.
Teresa told me that she was forced to eat her own fetus. Does that surprise you?
No.
Why not?
There's information at hand that we believe that has happened before in this country.
What Teresa had to endure is bad enough, but it's far from being an isolated case. We found strong evidence that scores of children in Britain are victims of these satanic rituals. But what is the attraction of these cults, and how are people lured into them?
In nomine Dei nostri Satanis Luciferi excelsis. In the name of Satan, the ruler of the earth, the king of the world, I command the forces of darkness to bestow their infernal...
Esau exalting that voice.
You still sound like a bitch.
It sounds like still for his nose, doesn't it?
One second.
power upon me.
David Austin is rare among Satanists. He will actually talk about some of their ceremonies. He denies taking part in child abuse himself, but he's sure some others do.
There are people that are using the occult, are claiming to be Satanists, and that they are abusing children. We know it.
No sex with children in his cult, says David Austin, but he confirms that sex is a part of some of their ceremonies.
Some of our rites are sexually orientated, and again, we have to take into the fact that we do take, in some rites, a bisexual approach to some of our actions.
I also witnessed a 9-day-old baby being slaughtered for human sacrifice.
Audrey Harper. She spent 5 years in a satanic cult before she escaped.
Why did they kill that baby? Why sacrifice a child?
Satan likes pure sacrifice, and human sacrifice is better than animal sacrifice, so they are pleasing the master.
This is a sound that echoes down many a street in England today. It's not Satanism, but for some, it has been a stepping stone to devil worship. Witchcraft, the so-called harmless end of the occult. Nigel Bourne is the high priest, and Zeldy Bate, the high priestess. They play out their pagan rituals in gatherings they call covens.
O thou circle, be thou a meeting place of love and joy and truth, a rampart of protection for all those who stand herein. Wherefore I do bless thee.
This is Book of Exodus, chapter 22, verse 18. It says, "Thou shalt not suffer a witch to live." Now, in this day and age, people say, "Oh, but that's persecution of religious freedom, and we're just white witches. We just do health spells and we just make little potions, love potions. We don't do anything like that. We don't sacrifice children." No, man. The Most High said, "Thou shalt not suffer a witch to live." And do you know why? Because this thing is pervasive. Once it gets into a society, it can tear it apart from the inside, because these Satanists, all these witches, they often don't come up to you with a badge on their chest saying, "I'm a witch." They keep this shit in secret. That's why sometimes when you go around girls' houses, you got to check what they've got in them houses, man, because some of them, They might have little idols or
Tarot
little altars
cards,
or tarot cards,
Ouija boards.
There you go, all this little shit, right? You know, showing them what they're into. But that's why the Most High said, "Thou shalt not suffer a witch to live," because these things will corrupt the nation, and it did corrupt our nation. Our people started following after these wicked practices. That's why we're in the situation that we're in today, because we followed after the heathens and their odious works of witchcraft. Carry on.
Scriptures say, "Envy thou not the oppressor, nor choose none of his ways," man. Because you know you got a lot of Israelite women as well that have turned towards, you know, left-handed means, because ultimately, you know, Jake is impatient, man. You know, Jake wants the instant gratification, so they're willing to you know, go on the dark side to try and get those things. But what they don't understand is that, you know, the rabbit hole goes deep.
Yeah.
And what Esau does is that he doesn't let you know how deep it goes. So at first it just starts off as, oh, just planetary alignment, or just get these tarot cards and then,
crystal healing,
Reiki, energy practitioner, this, that. You know, next thing you know, it's an innocent ritual, or you know,
a lot of girls be working shit with their menstrual blood as well.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I'm only putting, it's just a little bit of blood in the food, you know, because Esau has a way of making sin feel normal. Do you know what I mean? He has a way of making sin feel like the right thing to do. Well, I mean, of course it would, because at the end of the day, this world is under a wicked vibration.
So, lucky, we'll just go for 5 more minutes, and then we'll wrap it again. If we need to do a part 3, we'll do part 3.
Come on.
Yes. Oh, yeah. And they talk about Southern
life.
I can't see it. So, it's interesting that he was standing outside the Houses of Parliament, and he was saying that, you know, witchcraft should, there's talk of outlawing it. This is supposed to be a God-fearing country. I read to you the scripture, was in Leviticus, not Exodus.
Yeah, 22, 18.
Why is that law not being followed if this is a so-called God-fearing country? Now, we know that, as we said before, Job 9:24, earth is given into the hand of the wicked. back in the days when King James was on the throne, this shit was outlawed, man. But the Edomites have come up in the cut and have created a society where these things are tolerated, because a lot of those people in Parliament, the people who are actually in the monarchy now, this is their way of life. They've hidden it from public view, but this is how they get down behind closed doors. So they're not going to outlaw it. What they've been doing throughout the years is trying to create a system where they can make the world so demonic through the television, the media, the books, the entertainment, the music, so where they can come out of their front door and be normal, and the whole world will be normal like them in wickedness. You know, they're trying to get the rest of the world to be as wicked as they are. This is why the scriptures talk about, if it were possible, they would deceive even the very elect. You know, so we're like the last men standing, who are taking us of the hopeful elect of the house of Israel. We're the last ones standing against this wickedness. A lot of the people in the world, they don't give a shit. You know, they're too busy going about their everyday lives to really give a shit about what's really going on. And that's why they're going to suffer the destruction along with their elites and the rest of the wicked, because by them standing against it, they were with it, you know. And the ultimate sign of that is when they take that mark. But unless you got any more precepts, we'll wrap it there because it's 10 and
yeah, we can wrap it up there, really.
Cool. So, Lord willing, that's been edifying for the spirit and power of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushua. We got to keep. We can't take our foot off Esau's neck, man. We got to keep exposing this devil, you know, for what he is, and he's not going to be around for much longer. The scriptures say he's going to perish forever like his own dung.
That's right.
Yeah. So that once again, we give all praises, honor, and glory unto
Yahweh, B'Shem, Yahushai, B'Shem, Chakodash.
Double honors unto the elders and apostles of Great Northern at Bulwell. Shalom unto the 144,000 elect men of the nation of Israel, and the rest of the elect destined to be saved. The Lord willing, we'll catch you on part 3 of this, because there's a bit more of this documentary to go. So we'll get into that, Lord willing. Shalom for now.
Shalom.